iRacing server.
I don't know that we'll see a pass here as they go
A deep dive on the brakes. Here comes the 680 to the inside.
By 7,000 on the second. I can't believe what we just saw.
As the season winds down and the championship gets tighter, we head to Fontana, California and Auto Club Speedway for the 14th round of the season. Last week at Charlotte, we saw Nick Johnson make a severe error, causing him to miss out on a lot of points, making Thomas Bressi our points leader heading into tonight. I'm Finney DeCuna with Connor Horn, and we're in for a pretty good treat, Connor, I think, with the championship picture. Again, getting closer between Bressi and Johnson. We are going to have only 3 rounds remaining, and we're going to start that here at Auto Club.
It's going to be a crucial night for a lot of these guys who are still on the hunt. I believe the top 5 or 6, I'd have to check. I believe the 5 or top 6 separated by only 20 points. Anything's possible still, and this track's a wild card. We could have a long green flag run like we saw last week at Charlotte. We could see a lot of late race restarts with 6 wide at some parts. We could see a green-white checkered like we saw last week shake up the field. That didn't happen last week, though. Colin Fambro held on to a pretty convincing win on his way to gaining a lot of points to get back into the championship battle. Still, anything's possible. It's going to be a real good treat tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As we head trackside here as qualifying begins, you can see the sun setting here in California. So the track going to be pretty cool for these drivers as they're taking to the track to start their qualifying runs. A few drivers already about to finish their qualifying runs here. You take a look at the timing sheet so far. Is Chad Simpson up at top in the 46 car, actually just taken over by Michael Stroll as he completes his first lap. And again, heading for 100 laps here tonight, so a fairly short race, all things considered, shorter race than the World 400 last week at Charlotte.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit longer than the actual truck race that's going on right now tonight. That one's a real short one. They're already into the 3rd stage, but this isn't truck racing. This is premier racing right here, and we'll see what happens here. I know during practice, a lot of the guys who are up at the top of the points really not up into the top of the practice standings. Nick Johnson, I don't even know if he cracked the top 10 on time. He's about a 10th slower than Fambro. Fambro topped the practice sheets with a 2.34. He's actually coming around to complete his first lap. It's a 3.36. That puts him 3rd. I'm sure he's going to try to put down another lap. You know how the tires are here.
Yeah, and Bressi, speaking of which, Bressi, just looking at him in the 24, he completed his qualifying run. He's going to be only as high as 6th. See that maintained, I doubt it. We've still got some fast guys left to put a qualifying time down. Fambro in the 5, our last week's winner. Really strong showing at Charlotte. And currently in 6th on the timesheets as he's trying to get back across the line. He should most likely advance higher up. Speaking of advancing higher up, Nick Johnson taking his normal place at the top of the timesheets, currently sitting on provisional pole.
You know, maybe he was sandbagging, who knows, but that's the only one I've seen in the session so far in a 181. It was easily at the top of the board, about exactly 700ths faster than Fambro, actually, who just went to P2. So I think we know who's going to be the favorite yet again. And even though he had a mistake on pit road last week, I still think he's the guy to beat. That you have to beat Nick Johnson to win this championship. It's going to be a crucial night to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming into tonight, the points picture as well, very close between those two drivers. With Thomas Bressi, he's got a 2-point lead over Johnson heading into tonight. So it's a little bit of a lead, but it's not a whole lot at the same time. So, you know, he's got to be careful. Bressi needs to get the job done here tonight. He can't afford to let Johnson do what he's been doing the last few races before Charlotte and just absolutely dominating the field. So he needs to make it close. And again, it's a little bit concerning that he's only back in 10th. And we were talking about this before when we saw these guys practicing. We didn't see either driver really in the top 10 in practice times, but practice is practice. And clearly, as you're saying, Johnson was sandbagging. So for Bressi, are you a little bit concerned about his pace?
Yeah, it's got to be concerning when you're kind of in the mid-pack and you got your championship competitor who's going to probably be in clean air from the start and probably get away from the rest of the field. Everyone else got a gift at Charlotte with the penalty he had, and you got to realize, at least you got to go into it thinking you're not going to get that type of gift again. You have to go out and beat him on the track to win this championship. You can't just rely on mistakes like
Absolutely. As we get the field ready for gridding here, as qualifying is just about to be complete, or pretty much is complete now. We're already starting the gridding process. As these drivers get down to the track, a relatively short field tonight, about 22 drivers ready to take the grid. Everyone's getting lined up on pit road. So while everyone gets lined up on pit road, let's go through your starting lineup here. Starting on pole, it's going to be Nick Johnson in the 20, next to Colin Fambrough in the 5 car.
Starting out the second row, Chad Simpson, who finds himself 8 points off the points lead going in tonight, with Tyler Hensley alongside him in P4. Hayden Pistorius rounding out the top 5 after a tough finish at Charlotte, and alongside him is Will Roberts.
Moving on back, we find Riley Thompson sitting in 7th in the 15, next to Michael Stroll in 8th in the 8 car. Moving back to row number 5 is going to be Brian Chambliss in 9th place in the 25. Next to him, Casey Licata is going to start in 10th.
Your points leader by 2 points, Thomas Bressi down in the mid-pack P11. Robert Gaba, who had a strong top 5, I believe, last week, P12. Richard Nash, 13th, and on alongside him, Travis McQuist.
Back in 15th is going to be Mike Hurley in the 32. Next to him in 16th is going to be Christopher Matthews in the 92 car. Back another row, it's going to be Mitch Welker lining up 17 to 76. Poor qualifying effort for him. Steve Herring going to start in the 98 in 18th.
John Wilco about 40-something points off the points lead, 19th, alongside Joel Holloway rounding out the top 20, with David Mott Jr. starting 21st, with Calvin Filarski, who had a really tough outing at Charlotte last week as well, starting P22.
Yeah, that's good. And we got Tyler Dulliger lining up 24th, Randy Beta Jr. 24th, and that's going to round out your grid here tonight at California. So again, 100 laps here for the race, and getting ready for the field to roll off of pit road. And, you know, for these drivers here at California, you see the pace truck roll off. What should these drivers try to look out for here?
You got to look out for the outside walls. It's very easy, especially with the setup. A lot of people complaining about a little bit of a big push, actually, in these cars. These Xfinity cars are known for it. So I think I said a bit too much last week, but they're really... It seems like a lot of drivers are saying it's on edge this week. You really have to focus on getting the best exit possible with how long the back stretch and the front stretch are. That exit's going to make up for all the time you give up in the entrance of the turns. It's going to be real crucial to get the good run down the straights.
Yeah, absolutely is. And another thing I think these drivers should try to look out for as well is the fact that fuel mileage is going to be a little bit tight here. I was doing, according to my math, these guys can do about 49 laps on fuel. So you can barely make it on just a one-stop race. So, and again, we've had some pretty solid green flag runs. If you look back at Charlotte last week, we did pretty good there. So again, these drivers need to, keep that in mind. This race could go green flag to flag. You don't want to catch yourself off strategy. It can definitely hurt your race here.
You got to make no mistakes. Like we keep saying, Nick Johnson made one last week, cost him the points lead. He's got to be penalty-free this week to regain a big points lead. He has a big shot here, way faster than everyone in qualifying. We'll see if he can do the same in the race.
Absolutely, that is going to be crucial. Again, no mistakes for him tonight. Race truck rolls off on a pit road. We get ready to go green here at California. Waiting on the green flag. There it is. Green flag here for 100 laps.
A pretty good start for Fambrough, but he didn't get through the gears too well. I think the 58, Riley Thompson might have missed a shift there. He drops back a little bit, but a clean start at the very front row as it's going to be Nick Johnson leading the middle.
Go rocketing through turns 1 and 2 here. You're going to see how wide the racetrack is. Everyone mostly going to the bottom as they come out of turn 2.
Yeah, you're not going to see a lot of the top lane until the very end of the race, possibly. But Chad Simpson's going for the bottom lane pretty early on here. He's trying to take the lead away from Johnston early, and I don't think Johnston's going to be able to do that much about it. But he might get a good run off of 4 here, while Chad Simpson's got the lead out of 4. It's crucial to get that first bonus point for the lap led.
Absolutely. And you can see Chad Simpson trying to get the spot. Unfortunately, it's going to be Nick Johnson that will lead at the line to complete lap number 1. You see Fambrough, though, not wasting any time as well. He's sitting back in the 3rd place position. And we're really talking about Bressi and Johnson being in the fight. But again, drivers like Chad Simpson, Colin Fambrough, they're on the outside looking in. For Fambrough especially, he's 20 points back from the points lead. But if he can get a good finish, he can really close that gap here. You see him try to make it 3 wide heading to turn 3.
Nick Johnson's just going to let them both go. He's going to try to get the best exit he can. He doesn't really want to get himself wrecked this early in a race. He might pull alongside the 5 here out of 4, but aggressive move by Fambrough. You got to do that to get into these championship hunts. That's a great move in my opinion. He's got to get the track position now.
See the field coming into turn 1 now. So Fambrough, Chad Simpson, and Nick Johnson, your top three here, looking a little bit further on back. Everyone's still mostly side by side. Looking at Thomas Bressing, the 24, he's climbed his way up into 6th place now as he's just gotten past the 39 of Will Roberts to take that spot away.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see a little bit of racing side by side. We saw at Charlotte real quickly how single file it got there. We might see a different race here this week. I'd be surprised, but maybe it would be a nice change of pace. They're still side by side for second. Nick Johnson getting away from Chad Simpson there. He might be able to clear him into turn 1 here.
Yeah, everyone still racing in a pretty big pack as he's trying to fight off that 46 car. Fambro trying to drive away from everyone else. Looking at Hayden Pistorius in the middle of this mix, and the 9 car in the middle. Red and white machine. And Hensley with some new paint on his car tonight. Didn't recognize that car at first. You can see him try to get a picture there of that 44 discount tire machine.
Yeah, nice ride there for the 44. Bressy's going to his outside while they're 3 wide behind him. Chambliss, Roberts, and the 58 Riley Thompson still 3 wide in the 3. Someone's got to give, but no one's given yet.
And again, this track, we're talking about it being pretty wide. You see Chambliss get really close to the outside wall. We're talking about that as well. Definitely want to avoid it if you can. It's very tempting to just gas it up early in the corner, but you can pay the price on exit if you're not careful. But yeah, 3 wide here, everyone using up as much racetrack as they can. Is it worth going 3 wide at the moment, or is it better off just being patient?
It's better off being patient for sure. Being on the outside for too long, you're going to cook that right front, and that's what I'm worried about with the 46. He's still battling with Nick Johnson, which is great for Fambro. He's pulling away a bit. Actually, Johnson's going to give him the spot to get in line behind Chad Simpson, but that's really going to probably affect the 46's tires at some point in this race.
And he finally peels on down in front of Nick Johnson. And Johnson now and Bressy as well getting close together again. Bressy with a really solid start. Qualifying wasn't that good for him as you see Hayden Pistorius make a move down below the white line. It's legal here as he tries to make a move to the inside of that 28 who's starting to fall back.
Yeah, I think he's trying to save his tires, but at the same time, I don't think he wants to drop too far back where it's too hard to pass to get back to Fambro. He's got to make sure he doesn't drop farther back than where he is now, and he's going to do a good job of that. Gets to run off the 2 to get by Pistorius.
Charging down into turn 3. Is the field going to go? Riley Thompson in the 58 as well, and behind here as well as this giant pack of other drivers here as they're all side by side still. And we're talking about this, it started single file up in the front but still side by side for the midfield, and I'm curious to see how long this is going to last.
Yeah, I don't know, they're very stacked up. I expected them to spread out a little more. It is only lap 7, but even still I expected a little more space being given from car to car, but they're really trying to stay together. Bressy, I'm pretty impressed by Thomas Bressy so far. He's made some good moves on the outside all the way up to 5th, I believe, already.
Yeah, and you can see he's got a windshield full of Hayden Pistorius right up ahead as they ride bumper to bumper heading down into turn 3. And again, I think really this 24, I've seen him on a few tracks. I feel like he's just been a little bit too aggressive with the tire, where his tires typically tend to fall off more so than other drivers in the field. So that's my one concern with this 24 is, you know, we're talking about saving your tires. If he's not saving enough, as you've seen him make some good moves, he's gonna pay the price later on.
And he's got to hope for a yellow with all the moves he's making. Like we said about Chad Simpson, who made moves on the outside. Bressy made more moves on the outside than even Chad Simpson did. So he's got to be really careful of how the right front reacts to all those moves. As we see, it is starting to get a little bit more single file. I think Riley Thompson on up is single file now, and the top 2 are pretty much out of here. They have checked out from Nick Johnson. I think Nick Johnson's going to try to join them.
Riding on board with the 25 Brian Chambliss here, sitting in 11th place. He's got McQuistion to his outside, as well as you see Casey Lakatos there a little bit further up. This is that kind of pack we're talking about. These guys still duking it out for position. Lakatos going to try to look up the middle, eventually making it 3-wide into the corner, but the door slams shut.
And he's got no door to get to the bottom, really. He's going to have to force his way to the bottom as he's doing in front of McQuiston there, getting behind, I believe, his teammate Chambliss there to try to work by Will Rock. It's really, right now, really tough to pass in any circumstances. I expected the bottom to be dominant yet again, but it seems like the outside's got some fight in it.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if it's gonna get maybe more fight as this run starts to go on. You know, typically the inside lane's best with the fresh tires, keeping that car stuck down there, but if that outside lane starts to work out, we could see guys maybe gravitate towards that. We see up ahead a driver peeking out of line. That's Riley Thompson to the inside of the 44 of Hensley.
Making that power move to the inside there. I don't know if Hensley's going to be able to fight for it. Thompson's going to clear Hensley as a run, chooses to stay behind him. No, he's going to dip low, but I don't think he has the run.
And you can see, I was very close. You can see pretty much only the hood of that 44. He's right up to the camera as they head off into 3. Looks like they're going to get themselves somewhat sorted out going into turn 3. As I say that, the midfield is not. I see Will Roberts way out of line.
He's really trying to get something to work there right now. He's back, I believe, maybe 4 spots, dropping back early in this race.
Absolutely. Ooh, and also drivers playing with that white line as well. Is it really worth, you know, going down to that white line, making a move on the front straightaway, or is it better just to stay on the banking?
You only really go down there to block. I don't think it's much of an advantage like it is at maybe, say, Chicagoland, Kentucky, tracks like that. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. But if you need to block someone down there, if they go down there, you could maybe try to keep them down there, but that would probably cause a big wreck, so you probably don't want to do that.
Absolutely. Ooh, there's a little bit of someone had a little bit of spot of internet trouble for a second.
Chambliss, I believe.
Okay. So you look back up to your leaders. We were talking about them checking out. You can see the gas right there is the biggest gas we've seen all race, as young as the race is. But Fambro already establishing a gap half second to Chad Simpson in second place. And then Nick Johnson leading the rest of the pack. As you see, everyone really close in behind each other. Talking about that outside here, because Bresci, he's actually being passed by Riley Thompson, who's starting to make some moves to the front.
If he's already fallen back because of the tires, that is not a good sign. We said we might be able to go halfway on these tires, at least on the fuel. You do not want to be going backwards on worn tires this.
And speaking of the tires, do you think, you were talking about the fuel being close as well, you think it might be worth doing a 2-stop?
You have to see what the tire fall off is, but it's a what is it, a 2-mile track? I don't know if it's real. The tire difference would really make up for. If they can make it comfortably on 1-stop, I don't see the 2-stop really being in play here. I think everyone's just going to try their best to make it the 1-stop, as long as it's actually easily doable. If the 1-stop's too risky on the fuel, I don't know how many people are actually going to try that. I think Johnson's going to be the one to be able to try to take the safe route today.
Yeah, well, like we were saying too, one of the things you can't afford to make too many risks at this point in the season. As we saw with last week at Charlotte, again, Johnson, we keep talking about it, but it was such a major mistake. It really made this points picture what we thought wasn't going to be, you know, we thought it might have been close between himself and Bresci, but he had that race essentially wrapped up, was leading it. That pit road speeding penalty cost him a lot of positions and a lot of valuable points, so he's looking to not repeat the same mistake as he did last week, and I think we're seeing him be a little bit more conservative here. So we'll see if he can try to jump back up to potentially fight with Simpson and Fairboat still sitting idly in third. One guy who isn't sitting idly is the 58 car.
Moving up the field yet again, I believe he's up about 3 spots now, up to P4, started P7. Bresci trying to follow him. Pistorius way up the track at a 4, almost into a wall. He might lose 3 spots here to the 58, 24, and 44, but yeah, I think Nick Johnson, he was leading that pack. I feel like he was checking him up a little bit to make sure his tires were still in check, and now you see him pulling away from the rest of the pack, trying to chase down the top 2.
Looking at the lap times as well, our top 3 ran very similar lap times. Fanbro, the fastest of them. I'll pull them up on screen for everyone at home to see. See 42.955 for Fanbro, back at Chad Simpson, a 42.993, and then Nick Johnson a 42.998. So Johnson starting to pick up the pace here, and you can see visually too, he's pulling away from the guys in the back and starting to inch his way back to the front as they all come across the line now this time. And yeah, out of pretty much the entire field, Johnson was the only car last lap by to run below a 43-second lap.
Chad Simpson barely did. Fambro actually ran a 43.1, getting chased down by both Simpson and Johnston now. We'll see how his tires start doing. He's been the leader pretty much the whole race except for maybe 1 lap. We'll see if the clean air is good or bad for him.
Yeah, looking at Ian Pistorius and Tyler Hensley going side by side. We saw Pistorius with a big checkup out of turn 4. a little while ago. Coming out of turn 4 yet again. Whoa, Casey Licata's got pretty close to the wall.
Yeah, he's been close to it a couple of times. It's only a matter of time before he hits it. I think he was part of that yellow that ended that really long green flag run last week in Charlotte, which had resulted in a green-white checkered, pretty crazy finish. But I think he still got an okay result from where he was out of it, as we see a bit of a
Whoa, hits the 93.
We got into 93. Oh, what a save.
Indeed.
Not expecting that.
Yeah, indeed. Well, as you see here, I want to just make sure they get through turn 3 okay. And it looks like they are. Go and take a look back at pretty much we were talking about a caution. We almost saw one right here.
Almost got another one. I was looking at the crossover ahead of him, but the 50, he just drove right through McQuiston there. I don't think he expected Travis to really check up as much as he did out of the turn. Great save by the 93.
Yeah, just tapped him in the left rear. That's the worst place to hit someone. Again, you got to be careful with the speed differential coming out of the corner, but it looks like Licata and McCushion were able to avert disaster. As I say that, here's side by side with Licata and Welker up the inside. And Welker, talking about at a fairly poor qualifying effort back in 17th, is currently up in a 10th, so he's inching his way up the order. Got Robert Gavin in behind him as well.
He usually does this, doesn't qualify well, or doesn't qualify at all, and just somehow makes it to the top 5. I believe he had a great charge last week, if I have the right person. He's known for this type of thing. I think someone got into a wall up ahead. I think Pistorius actually got into a wall, but yeah, Mitch Welker's probably going to be in the top 5 by the end of this race.
Trying to see if there's any damage to the 9 machine. It looks okay.
He did hit it though, that's for sure.
So not a lot of contact with the 9, but as Welker moves his way up the inside, we're just talking about him being in 10th. He's trying to get past the 9 and move himself up into 8th place. He'll do that. Michael Stroll in behind in the 8 car. He's going to try to also get a spot on Pistorius as the 9 drops back, but for Stroll started in 8th is in 10th, so it really hasn't moved a whole lot of anywhere.
One guy who is on the move, 28 and Nick Johnson, just got by Chad Simpson for second. He blocked to the apron there to make sure Simpson didn't try any crossover. Nick Johnson, here he comes to the front.
Indeed, this is what we were kind of waiting for. We suspected that he was hiding a little bit of his true pace. We saw him sandbagging in qualifying, and he's sandbagging in the race here. Now he's trying to set his sights on the 5-car Fambro up ahead.
So watching Tyler Hensley, I think he's getting back by Bresci. They've been battling a little bit here. The 44 having a good run so far. Dropped back a couple spots on the start, but gaining his way back up there. It looks like Thomas Bresci, he just cannot hold the bottom right now. He's going to lose another spot to McQuiston, who's recovered well from pretty much almost getting turned out of turn.
And here comes Welker. He's just picking up spots one by one. He's got a massive run on Bresci down the front straightaway here. Whoa, gonna get into the back of him. Oh boy.
That was out of nowhere. He just kind of drove through the back of him. I don't know if he expected Bresci to go lower, or maybe he didn't expect him to check up, but it looks like Bresci's really struggling to rotate the car now, as we feared that would happen, and now it's cost him, and now it's cost Welker big damage on the front end.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were talking about with Bresci not able to hold the bottom. I think Welker was expecting him to go a lot lower into the corner. And unfortunately, Bresci was there, and you can see he is a lane, maybe 2 lanes up from where everyone else is exiting off the corner. So he's starting to struggle in that 24 machine. And this is what we were concerned about earlier, was that it was if he was going to pay the price for running too hard earlier on, if the tires are going to wear off, and we're looking like that's pretty much the case here.
First half of the run isn't even done yet. He's struggling hard now. We saw this last week with actually the guys behind him. Michael Stroll really struggled on the first run with the tires wearing bad, and it seems like the same thing's happening to Bresci right now. Already back to 8th. He made a lot of spots up from where he started in 11th, but he's going to go right back to where he came from if he's not careful.
You can see also too how much time Michael Stroll gained in the middle of the corner. Got right back up to the bumper of the 24. Oh, and Bresci getting really tight off the corner. Gonna brush the wall and exit.
It wasn't a hit there. I think it was only a brush, like you said. That should be fine, but definitely the right front is not fine. Stroll's going to go by. Robert Gaba's got to run to the inside here. He is going right back to the mid.
And that's just showing a lot of trouble too. You know, the fact, good thing that he didn't get too much damage, but that's showing that car is struggling to rotate, especially at pace with everyone else. So he's looking like he might just start falling down the order, and this is not what he needs when Johnson is moving up the order. Now, Johnson really hasn't made a whole lot of forward progress to Fanbro. They've kind of been stationary. He's eating it a little bit to Fanbro's lead, but even Simpson kind of maintaining pace with the 28 as well. He hasn't lost sight.
Yeah, that's good for Johnson. He's doing exactly what he needs to do right now. As is Fanbro, it would be a big win if he could go back to back. But Thomas Bresci is seeing some championship points just going away right now. He's going to get passed by Pistorius. He's going to probably get passed by Lakatos here. That's probably not the end of it. He is really struggling right now. This is not what he needs.
And when you're talking about the championship too, remember there are points at halfway as well. 10 points for P1, all the way back to 1 point for P10. So those are really valuable points as well. Johnson missed out on all of them last week because he had his pit stop mistake happen before halfway. And again, that can make the difference considering how tight the picture is. And Bresci gonna fall back to 12th as he gets passed by Lacoste on the bottom.
Yeah, it seems like, I don't think, oh, Pistorius into the wall again, sliding out of 4, almost got into Lakatos there. These two are dropping like a rock all of a sudden. They've opened in a wall. I think both of their right fronts are not happy right now. They're probably going to be battling to see who blows a right front tire first.
Yeah, we'll take a look back at what happened to Pistorius. He got a lot of damage out of that. Here he comes out of turn 4. Took a pretty big hit. You know, went sideways almost into Lakatos, is able to save that car.
Yeah, that was definitely bigger than the hit he had earlier. You can see the right front wheel now.
The thing is, it's only going to get worse as the run goes on. And I'm sure both these drivers not happy campers at the moment. I'm sure they can't all wait for it to get down on pit road. I'm sure they're screaming for a caution to come out.
Yeah, at this rate, they're going to be the caution. I think the only thing they might be able to do, if it's a stretch to get the lap 50 on this fuel, maybe their only option to get halfway points is to stretch it on fuel. I don't know exactly how long the fuel is going to go in a race situation, but we'll see what type of strategy goes here.
Yeah, so according to my estimates, again, as I said earlier, we can do about 49 laps on a tank. So not too terribly far for these machines. Sorry, I was saying is not too terribly far from halfway, so we might see these guys potentially, if they can, try to stretch it to the end.
I feel like everyone in the chase kind of has to try it. Especially the guys who aren't in that top 6, 20 apart from each other. They need points any way they can get.
Absolutely here, and taking a look, the field's starting to spread out a little bit. Robert Gaba has kind of made some solid progress up through the field, looking at where the 75 started back in 12th. Now looking at taking away 7th position away as he tries to have a look on Hensley down into turn 3, gonna have a look to the inside.
Hensley's just gonna give it to him. He's been impressive the last 2 weeks I've watched him. I just didn't expect to have to see the speed from Gab, but he's really proven himself the last couple of weeks. Up to P7, Hensley, well, maybe not yet. Hensley's going to have another look with a crossover, but Gab has really been impressive.
Yeah, he has in recent weeks, as Hensley going to try to have a look back up the inside as Will Roberts is coming off of pit road.
I don't see that. He got into a wall at some point.
So he's going to bring it back onto the track. He's going to be 1 lap down compared to everyone else.
He hit the wall a while ago. I don't know how he missed it, but maybe this is the start of some 2-stop strategy. I'm not quite sure, but I don't think he was the only one to stop.
From the looks of it, looks like he was the only one to stop. The only driver out of the race, or would have been on pit road, is David Mott Jr., in the 10 car in 24th. He retired 2 laps ago. He's going to call it a day. So we've got 23 guys remaining, 22 of which still on the lead lap.
You know, Mitch Welker has that front end damage, but he's still setting pretty good times. He's still well inside the top 5 ahead of McQuiston.
Yeah, and he's on a really solid pace up the orders. You see Brian Chambers try to get to the inside of Bresci, but looking back at Mitch Welker, again, started all the way back in 17th, and especially in the last 10 laps, just rocketed through the field, and I think just passed a lot of drivers that burned their stuff up too early on, and up into 5th. So another really solid driver. We were talking about him last week at Charlotte at a similar performance, just drove his way up through the field.
Yeah, he's running times similar to the leaders. Fambro actually ran a 7, Johnson and Simpson 6 and 7s. All the top 5 really very similar times right now. But they're, as we can see, they're pretty spread out from 1st to 5th, 3.5 separating Welker from Fambro. And speaking of Fambro, I think his tires are starting to die a little bit. Nick Johnston is closing in as well as Chad Simpson.
Yeah, he really is starting to fall back quite a bit, and you can see how much closer that 28 has gotten last lap through. He clips the wall out of turn 4 last lap through as a 43.7.
As well? I think Johnson might have followed him into the wall there a little bit.
A quick look back at that. Oh yeah, he did. Sparks that came off the car.
Oh man, he just followed Fambro in, so that's not going to be very easy to navigate through. But it's not as bad of damage as it could have been. Definitely, it's still okay. I believe. I don't think that's going to kill their race.
Yeah, no, but you definitely don't want to start routinely hitting it. I think that's really the big concern is once you hit the wall. When you hit the wall once, you want to do your best you can to keep off of it again because the damage is only going to get worse. And speaking of which, the hits to the wall definitely allow the 46 of Chad Simpson to get back into the picture as the top 3 start to converge on one another.
You see how far away from the wall the 5 and 28 were out of 4 that time. They were making sure they didn't get that close again. It doesn't matter how much right front damage you get, but once you hit it, you're gonna feel more effects, a lot more pushing out of the corners. It's only gonna get worse and worse. You have to be on top of your game to manage it, so you don't completely kill the right front by the end of the front.
Absolutely, as we're approaching in on the 1/3 mark now, if you are planning on doing a 2-stop strategy, you might want to fancy coming on down to pit road now, or cut this race off an even third. Speaking of which, Hensley, who actually, looking upon further inspection, he got a massive piece of the wall. That might be why he's down on pit road.
He was running well too. I'm trying to see when it happened. It might have been out of 4. He lapped 30 out of turn 4, and yeah, he had a big hit.
So he's going to get back onto the track. So, I mean, if he didn't plan on being on a 2-stop strategy, I think he might be set up for one here.
It looks like Johnson's really pushing. He almost hit the wall out of 2 again. Chad Simpson's got the run. He's the cleanest car in the top 3 now with the other 2 hitting the wall. Chad Simpson's going for it.
Yeah, dive down to the inside of the 28 here, side by side for second place out of turn 4. And Simpson, who is looking like, whoa!
Whoa!
Almost contact down the front straightaway. That was surprising. That was really.
I guess that's side draft. Yeah, he went. I think he wanted to pinch him down, but Simpson didn't go to the bottom like he anticipated. That could have been deadly, but instead it's just a simple pass. Chad Simpson defeats it.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. It almost looked like he got loose out of the corner. I'm not sure if it was that or if it was just him trying to get a side jump. Oh, wow, that could have been disastrous.
Yeah, I think they were way out of 4 already, so I don't know about loose. I think he was just trying to pinch him, but I don't think he just didn't really have the opportunity. We'll see if Chad Simpson can do anything with Fambro. Fambro got a bit more of a gap after that battle for second, and actually, now that we say that, looks like the top 3 are all coming in.
Everyone diving on down to pit road. Ooh, I literally do mean everyone.
Yeah,
as you
Mitch
see
Welker,
yep.
Gaba, McQuiston, everyone's going to come in. So I guess the 1 stop is not worth it. Even Bresci, who I thought might stretch it, isn't coming in. Joel Holloway, pretty much everyone's in here. And the big winner on that entrance, Nick Johnston, gained a lot of time. Yeah,
that's going to be key. However, remember, last time we saw him make up a lot of time on pit road, he got bopped for speeding. He's got to make sure he doesn't do that. Ooh, it's a little deep into the stall. Looks like he's good. Also looks like he's about to slide on through.
See who gets out first. This is going to be an important battle.
Oh, he did? No!
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
It's happened again.
He wouldn't get bopped for speeding this time. I hope not. Still not jinxing, but you can see how much time he lost with that. Fambro and Simpson off and away, and finally his car gets rolling, but
He did not speed, luckily, so it's not completely over. He's not going to go laps down, but his fight for the lead is essentially gone for now as the 5 and 46 come off together. It's a huge mistake. You can't do that in this situation.
Man, he lost 8 seconds, 8 to 7 seconds on pit road from that mistake alone. Wow, I'm amazed. I'm astonished.
That's the last person you expect to make the mistakes, and he's done it twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row, and you're not going to win a championship like that. You keep saying he's the over it, but he just can't keep doing that.
Yeah, and you know, there's the age-old saying in racing, you can win and lose a race on pit road. You know, that could be several different factors, you know, with their pit crew making a mistake, but in sim racing, it's effectively up to you. And last week it was speeding, this week it was just getting into the stall, and I had a feeling he was a little bit too deep into the stall, but, oh man, that's going to cost him a lot. Riley Thompson is actually going to maintain the leader here, still yet to come to pit road. You see Welker in behind on fresh tires. He's currently the first car a lap down, going to die to the inside of the 58.
Now, half the field hasn't pit yet. Stroll, Lakatos, Chambliss, Hayden, Pistorius, the top 5 now. Pistorius might try to stretch us all the way. Who knows? It seems like the one stop, maybe they didn't think it was fast enough. I guess maybe they thought the tire fall-off was just that big. The big part of 28, he didn't even... We saw him, we thought he was deep into a stall, but he didn't move like it was already fine. But it's like he didn't know he was too deep into a stall.
Yeah, I think he assumed he was okay, and you could never really assume in racing. You see a big gaggle of cars on different tire strategies at the moment. See Bressie work his way on by, currently in 15th place, but 3 wide off of turn 2. I got a little dicey there. He's gonna clear a few cars. And now we're to the inside of Chambliss here. Again, not for position on track.
If anything, that really saved Bressie. Oh, contact! I think Gabba got into the back of the 50 there. More contact in the middle of the turn there. That got interesting. Chambliss almost in the ball, but this really saves Bressie from losing touch to the 28 in the points. For now, at least.
Yeah, we have to, and looking at where they are on the track, there's a 28 and there's the 24, so they've gotten significantly closer to each other.
They are all over each other with this gaggle. Gabba got away from it, the 50, the 25, the 66, old tires, new tires. They're all over the track trying to get by these guys.
And this is the concern, you know, when you talk about a caution coming out. This is where it comes out a lot of the times, is guys on different tires, faster tires, and guys on the older tires running a lot slower. And there's nothing. The closing rate is significant, especially once you get the fastest guys on new tires. It's significant, the difference. So I'm curious to see how long these guys are going to stretch it. I imagine at this point you might as well stretch it to just one stop here. And Riley Thompson leading that strategy. And we currently have only 5 guys that have yet to come down to pit road.
Yeah. Thompson, Chambliss, Riley Thompson has the biggest lead of all, 8 seconds to Chambliss, Pistorius, Case Lakatos, Michael Stroll, the top 5, and then, like you said, that's it. Colin Fambro's he's the effective leader right now, maybe about a couple tenths over Chad Simpson. That's about maybe 4 seconds back to Will Roberts, who we saw pit really early. The real third place is probably Welker, who's another second back right now.
Yeah, you can see visually the gap on screen. It was pretty much the entire length of the front straightaway between the 28 and the 5 of Colin Fambro. And Johnson, again, was looking to be a real threat under that last run. Was just catching up to our leader before we had pit stops, and again, that mistake, huge error. And so it's effectively let this race to the win lie at the moment between the 46 and the 5. We still have to see where the 58 and everyone else is going to stack up as this race unfolds here, as we get closer and closer to halfway.
This is a huge opportunity for Chad Simpson. I believe 8 points out of the lead. He could gain some really big points here. About 10 to go. If he could get the max amount of halfway points, it would be a huge swing right now.
And Colin Fambro as well. Again, he's there's a 12-point difference between Fambro and Simpson. So Simpson, again, third, 8 points behind our leader, Thomas Bressie. And with both those guys kind of struggling at the moment, quite further down the order. I mean, when this all cycles out by halfway, we're looking at, depending on where the leaders actually pick, because we might see these guys, Riley Thompson and company, they might stay out past halfway, and that's going to be less points for them to get. In fact, that would mean that Johnson and Bressie get no bonus points at all.
I'm trying to check the times, because I'm trying to take the times compared to over the run. Chad Simpson, actually, let me go to Fambro here. Colin Fambro, excuse me, he was running 42.5s at the very beginning of the race on the very first run. By the end of the run, when he pit on lap 34, he was running about 43.9s, 44 flats, which is only a second difference. And if these guys who haven't pit yet are going to stretch it to lap 50, about 15 laps later, I don't see the time being made up really there. maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I don't feel like it adds up. I still think the one stop, if you can make the one stop work, if you don't really have to save that much, I feel like it's still faster. I'm surprised really no one up front did it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm just as surprised as you, considering we're seeing a decent amount of cars staying out. I mean, you can argue really the only driver in the front of the field that stayed out was Riley Thompson. I believe was running 4th or 5th, but when we saw green flag stops initiate, and so he's the leading car in the strategy. He's got 8 seconds over Chambliss, and in general, he's got 29 seconds of a gap to Fambro.
Yeah, he's still... We'll see how far back he is when he eventually does pit. If he does make it to halfway, he's got about 6 laps to go. He's got 2 lappers, Gabba and Holloway about to pass him here, but yeah, I feel like it's a great strategy for him. I feel like it might be the winning strategy, but it's still a long way to go. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it really is, and I do hope we can see this go green for the rest of the way. I'm curious to see, like you're saying, how this is going to play out. As we look at Simpson and Fambro, they're fighting with each other down the front straightaway as Simpson got really close. He's been close enough a few times. Do you think this 40-60, do you think he's trying to stay just right in behind the 5, or do you think he's earnestly attempting to pass?
I think he's fast enough where he doesn't even need to try that hard to pass him right now. I think he's gaining on him a lot middle of the corner right now. He might have a run on the front stretch here, but I think it's better. In a way, it's better to be behind him because you can be the first one on pit road for the final pit stop, potentially. There's a lot of strategy that goes into if you want to be the first guy on the track to come in or not. It's really big.
Looking at Nick Johnson, he's caught up to Will Roberts. He's going to put himself inside the top 10.
So he's still going to get some halfway points probably, but it arguably probably should have been first place, at least top 3 for sure.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if we might see, as I was going to say, curious to see if we see Simpson get past Fambro to try to pick up some more points here, as they are side by side at a turn 4 down the front straightaway. It's going to be Simpson ahead of Fambro at the line. Not quite clear of that 5 car just yet, going down into turn 1.
Yep, he's going to be able to do much. Maybe he tries a crossover out of 2, but it seems like Chad Simpson's just so much stronger in the middle of the corner right now. As the 5 really pushed up there. He tried to make a run out of, couldn't do it. Chad Simpson to the effective lead on.
Yeah, and again, it's all depending on when the guys up ahead come down onto pit road. I mean, if I'm them, I would stay out, collect up the points. We'll have to see, though. It depends on how that fuel tank is, how much fuel is left in it. Trying to just skim through who we got here. Again, we got Thompson, Brian Chambliss. He's in the field playoffs, but a little bit ways out. He's 38 points behind our points leader, so not completely out of the picture, but not in a terribly great position. Same thing with Casey Licata's also pretty far out. Aiden Pistorius in the 9, looking out, picking up some serious points. He's 5th, 14 points in behind Bresci. So I'm sure he's going to try to keep it out here until lap 50, pick up some valuable points, put himself back in the picture, and then Michael Stroll. Not a playoff driver, but running here for fun, and he's looking like he might be on a solid stretch for a top 5. In fact, going to try to get around Hayden Pistorius, battle for 4th place.
Check the times again. I'm going to check Thompson's times. Like I said, Fambro, when he pit, around 44 flats. Riley Thompson's he's been running some lap. He's been running 44 1s, 44 2s, 3s, and 4s. I mean, only a couple tenths lower. I really think this is going to be the winning strategy. Again, we'll see, but I think Riley Thompson's really onto something.
And you only can really tell once this all completely plays out. And I think for Thompson now, the issue for him, because these guys are going to have to duck off into pit road as he comes across the line over the next 2 laps. I would imagine they're really starting to get to the end of the fuel run. So the big thing for them is they have to hope a caution doesn't come out, because then that's going to put them on the back foot quite a bit. So they're going to have to wait till around lap 66, 67, when the rest of the drivers are presumably going to come in to make their second stop of the race. So until then, he's going to have to have his fingers crossed that a caution doesn't come out for the next 17 or so laps.
Yeah, like you said, that's the other thing. They are betting on this thing going green the whole way. And
oh, Thompson in.
Case, he's coming in now. It's 49 coming to 50. He's basically cutting it in half. So without a doubt, he's trying to one-stop here. Hopefully he didn't speed, but we'll see what Chambliss does. Chambliss on the same strategy. He's going to stay out another lap. It looks like everyone else is pitting. Stroll's pitting. Pistorius is pitting. Casey Lakatos. Did he also pit? Yes, he did. Only Chandler's going that extra lap.
Oh, he's got the engine off. He's just coasting right now, coming through turns 1 and 2. On the opposite side of the track, he's got to make it back to the line, or back just down to pit road, because again, that engine really low on fuel here. We'll go back on board here to see if the engine starts sputtering, because I gotta imagine he is if he's this desperate.
He's kind of missing the turns because he's focusing so much on saving the fuel. But yeah, he's going to come in. I don't know if he can make it another lap, but he's really trying to bring it into pit road here.
50 laps exactly for Brian Chambliss down on the pit road here. Still awkwardly waiting to get to the line to officially make it halfway. And as he approaches the line just about now, he actually comes across the line in third. I believe Chad Simpson was our leader last lap through. We can actually double check that here. Take away the side ticker. There you see Simpson, Fambro, Chambliss missed it by 9/1000 of a second, or 9/10 of a second.
Well, that's unfortunate. That would have been big points. That would have been pretty good for his point situation, but wasn't meant to be. So the guys trying to one-stop really didn't get what they probably hoped they'd get, but maybe they're just focusing on that win.
Yeah, and Diaz will take that back and we'll put the tower ticker back on. Nick Johnson came by in 5th, I believe. Actually might have been sixth, yeah. So he's gonna still pick up some solid points, but again, Chad Simpson, that's gonna put him very close to tying. With Simpson gaining points, and Simpson also, depending on how many laps he leads the rest of the way, has a chance of picking up most laps led.
I don't know. It's probably between Fambro, Simpson, and probably Riley Thompson as well. Those three have been the main lap leaders, I believe. I don't know if anyone else has really led a lap other than, I guess, Chambliss might have led one.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Riley Thompson back out on the track now, currently running in 12th, easily getting past a lot of the guys ahead of him. He's got significantly fresher tires than the guys around him, so he's just kind of cutting up through the order. And the leading driver on the one-stop strategy as this race has gone green for quite a while. And this is what I really like about this league, is because we've been having such green flag runs, to see this kind of strategy play out is really interesting to see. A lot of times you don't get to see this happen because of the cautions coming out.
Didn't see much of it last week at Charlotte because there really wasn't that varying amount of, like, maybe the fuel window there. It really wasn't any drama concerning the fuel there. Everyone else was doing pretty much the same amount of stops. But this week, because I don't know, just something about how close it is on these fuel runs, it's making everyone go crazy with how much fuel they can save, how much tires they're saving, how hard they can push it. Everyone's trying everything they can to get to the front.
Yeah, and it is looking a bit, and here's the concern. Remember, Riley Thompson didn't make it. He didn't complete 50 laps. He made a 2-lap 50. He started lap 50, but on pit road. So he only completed 49 laps on a tank. He's now, instead of making it 50 and 50, he's going to have to do 51 now on this run. I don't think he's got enough fuel for that, unless he starts saving now.
Well, I don't think you can save now. You got to gain as much time as you can while you have the tire advantage. And once everyone else starts coming down for their final pit stops, that's when you got to start thinking about potentially saving those last lap or two, maybe 3, who knows. But I think for now, he's really got to push to make up time. It's about 21 seconds back right now.
Yeah, and again, you know, typically you don't do this on oval, but you know, what I had to do for the retro series, because iRacing the Lionheart retro series, on a road course at least, I had planned out exactly what numbers I had to hit in order to save enough fuel every single lap. And I was constantly looking at my F4 box for the fuel just to see how much gas I had left in the tank, and I'm curious really if any of these guys potentially try to science this out going into tonight. See if they can make it, because they're running really close on this, and we could be looking at the winning strategy. We could not. We'll only really know by lap 95-ish. You really will only be able to see the full picture.
Yeah, he's probably only got his fuel up. He probably doesn't even have his relative up. I remember a couple of races I did, some oval races, where the last run, you're just looking at the fuel. How many tenths are you burning? How many tenths do I need to save every single lap?
Oh.
I know there's one league, RSR. There's a couple times where there was 2 races I won on fuel mileage, and both times I was sputtering coming to the line. One of them was Vegas, which was like the season finale, and then the next one was Talladega, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
Just no one trying at Dega trying to save fuel. And I think the same thing happened in fuel where Jeremy Miller won. I wasn't here for that, but I kind of heard about that. It's weird how these fuel mileage races add up sometimes, but I still think Thompson has a good chance. Once everyone else pits, he's gonna probably have a decent lead. And like at lap 50, he had about maybe 20-second lead on the 46 of Simpson. He's probably got time to save. He's gonna have a big lead. He's just gotta manage it perfectly.
Tyler Hensey coming back down the pit road, just smacked the wall a lap earlier. Whoa, gonna get sideways, bringing that car down to pit road speed. But yeah, not a particularly good race with a 44, and I think could be a final fuel stop for him. We'll see. Once he gets back onto the track, can make it to the end from here. We're looking at Robert Gaba and Bressy now fighting for position. Gaba on the outside, Bressy on the inside.
Bressy's got to get every position he has. It has not been the race he thought he was going to have. He's 6th right now, which is decent, but he definitely, after the start he had, he probably was thinking better. He lost out on some halfway points. He's really got to find something here. He's going to get by Gaba here, but Gaba's going to pull the crossover.
How about Nick
here.
Johnson 3 wide going into turn 1? He's got McQuiston on his outside and Will Roberts to his inside. Will Roberts a lap down. He's fighting for McQuiston, fighting with McQuiston for 5th place, or 4th place actually, and will get on by.
Get up to 4th. I think the only way he can really feel good about this finish is if he gets back into the top 3 on the guys who are on the 2 stop, because that's basically where he was. Otherwise, it's definitely lost out points as McQuiston really got close to his left rear there. Like a lot of people want to run Johnson hard.
Yeah, really. And this is not what Johnson needs, especially after what happened. You know, we were talking about that pit stop mistake. It cost him about 7-8 seconds. He's 8.2 seconds back from the leader. So I think he's going to be shaking his head thinking what could have been. And we're, again, only talking about the battle for the lead as it stands now. Again, we are thinking, once these guys pit, definitely Riley Thompson's going to jump back up to the front, and we'll see if he can defend. So he's definitely lost a shot at fighting for the lead here, or fighting for the win. I think the only way he can get back into this race is if a caution comes out for him.
Or how much time Chambliss is going to have. Like, how far Chambliss is going to be ahead of the leaders when they pick, because he won that extra lap, so maybe he won't have to save, and if he does have to save, it won't be as much as the 58 has to. We'll see where he comes out.
No, you bring up a really good point, actually, the fact that he did go that extra up. He did have to save quite a bit of fuel coming into the pit, so that cost him a bit of time, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, he was just holding the clutch through the corners, so maybe just a second or two slower off the pace, but the fact that he went that extra lap, he means he can push a little bit harder on this run, doesn't have to worry about saving, so he also could be sitting in the catbird seat. A bit ways behind Riley Thompson, so we got to keep that into effect, but Chambliss also looking at a solid strategy run to the end, and that Redenzo 25 machine, also trying to see where Chambliss, what was his best finish so far this season, and it looks like that was 2nd place at Talladega.
Trying to look at the race for the lead right now. If those two can't make it on fuel, can't save enough fuel, this is the race for the win. We'll probably see Chad Simpson, Colin Fambro. Colin Fambro lost him a little bit on the short run, but Fambro's pulling it back, right on the back bumper almost.
Battle for that lead, heating back up as you were saying, and here's see if we see Fambro maybe try. Do you think for him in his case, do you think it's smarter just to sit in behind here, behind the 46, or do you want to try to fight for that lead?
I think he's probably gonna follow him here. Try to follow him on the pit road. We saw pretty much everyone pit on the same lap last cycle. So I don't know. Judging by that, I don't know if you want to be caught out even a lap here. It makes a big difference here. So I think you're just gonna wait for see when the 46 slows up in turn 3.
Yeah, like everyone came in like clockwork down into pit road. I don't think we really saw any stragglers a lap past that, maybe 1 or 2, but effectively everyone that was going with the 2-stop strategy did on the same lap. And there you see Riley Thompson. He moves himself up into 6th. This is actually really impressive, all things considered, considering he's potentially got one less stop to make. And looking at potentially even getting into the top 5, he's got a little bit of a distance to McQuiston, 6.4 seconds on the track, but really solid run for the 58 regardless of what happens.
And the tires for this final run compared to when the other guys pit, it's not going to be as big of a difference as it was on the first run. He was getting caught by the leaders who pit on the first run on, like, what, 35 lap older tires. He was getting caught. This time it's only going to be about maybe like 15 lap old tires. It's not going to be that big of a difference, which is why I still really think Riley Thompson's just playing it perfectly here, as long as he can save enough fuel.
Speaking of the devil of coming down to pit road, we find Welker and Johnson back down on pit road and slid in perfectly for the 28 this time by into his pit stall.
Yeah, he's trying something here. He's trying to short pit those two up there, trying to get ground back. We'll see if it works, but I don't know. This is probably a last-ditch effort to get back into the fight for the win.
Oh, and speaking of our leaders, we see in the background there have come down onto pit road now, and side by side they're racing down pit road.
This is where you get caught for speeding, when you're too focused on the guy next to you. You better not turn into each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm curious whose stall it comes first, and it's going to be Chad Simpson, so he has to back out a little bit over Fambro. Both of them nicely into their pit stalls and getting service to their machines. So that's going to leave Travis McQuistion inheriting the race lead for now. I imagine he's going to come in over the next few laps, and that's going to give, there you see Riley Thompson, 4.5, a little more than 4 seconds behind McQuistion, who will inherit the lead for presumably the rest of the race.
The majority of the race, as long as he can make it. Now this is when you got to focus on your numbers. How many laps? How many tenths of fuel? What do I got to do? Now that everyone's starting to pit, you got to be focused on what you got to do now.
And McQuistion, there you see him coming down to pit road, so now Riley Thompson officially the leader of the race. And can he hold on to one driver I wanted to go back to? And I want to ride back on board. I thought I heard him get on the clutch. Okay, no, never mind. Chambliss is still... I was listening past Chambliss one time. It sounded like he got on the clutch to save some gas. Looks like he's still going to continue running. He's currently in 7th place, and then this is kind of an idea there. You see about a straightaway between himself and the 58.
It's going to be interesting. A straightaway behind. I don't know if that he's close enough, far ahead enough of the people who are pitting to really make a difference here. I think it's all Riley Thompson to the end here.
And looking where our leaders came back out from pit road, there you see Colin Fambro up ahead of Chad Simpson. Simpson caught him behind a lap car. Or actually, it wasn't a lap car. There was actually 4th position there, the 97 of Richard Nash. We haven't really talked about a lot. Ooh, he's having some issues. Pops back on the track. Started in 13th, currently running 16th. So not a particularly good night.
Kind of been marred in the back, really hasn't had the opportunity to gain any track position, but the guy who did gain the track position was Fambro. He made the perfect pit entry, pit exit, everything. He executed the last stop perfectly, and he got a pretty decent gap on the 46 of Chad Simpson.
These guys now gonna, if I'm them, if you're one of those guys, do you worry about fighting each other or about trying to find some way to get back up to the 58, if that's even possible?
Well, you got to make sure you're the first one to the guy saving fuel still. You got to make sure that you got to get by him. It's a race to that car, basically. You got to make sure you get by him and the other guy either doesn't get by him or gets by him way later. It's going to be very important to see who gets there first and who can make the move first. It's going to be interesting. You can't really race. You got to catch him fast, but at the same time, if you catch him too fast, your right front tire is gone for the end of the race, and the guy behind you is going to pass you. So you got to factor all of that in still.
And here comes Thomas Bressi, the 24 down into pit road. A lot of the guys we've seen come in, our leaders, came in pretty early in comparison to their first stop. They went about 35 laps on the first run and went only about 30 on the second run, so Bressi extending that a little bit. And kind of surprising to see the 24 out of the drivers extending his run.
Yeah, he's coming into the pits as we speak now. He kind of needed... I thought he would try stretching it to lap 50 to get more points, but he really hasn't been the night that he really needed to stay right in the middle of this hunt. He might still be in it, but he's definitely lost some ground as it's...
Looking back, there's Brian Chambliss in the 25, officially in 2nd place now. He's running 11.7 seconds back from Riley Thompson. So, again, I definitely have a feeling Chambliss can make it to the end of the race, but being 12 seconds back, where is Colin Fambro? So we'll go to the TV3 camera here. So there's Brian Chambliss right now. He's coming out of turn 2. And now looking at, well, Colin Farrow, as he's coming across the start-finish line and into turn 1 now. So almost half a lap between himself and Chambliss.
And I'm looking at the times. Riley Thompson ran a 43. It's a 43.4 now. The 5 last lap ran about a 42.8. What is that? About 7/10 faster. Which I don't even know if that's enough to get there. And the tires are going to even out while the 58's saving. I don't. It's going to be tight, babe. Tires are going to even out and everything. I don't know if they're going to get there, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the big. There's a lot of unknowns right now on the track. Drivers we definitely know are good on fuel is the 5 of Colin Farrow. He's good to the end. Everyone else, mostly everyone else in behind, is good too. So, or as far as we know, are definitely good to the end. So Farrow getting past Hurley. Simpson not making up time on Farrow. He's actually dropped back quite a bit. About a second and a half, so he's not making up pace to the 5 of Farrow, and I'm curious if this is him saving his stuff for later on, or if he's just kind of run out of steam.
I think he's saving his stuff. He was all over Farrow on that short run, so I think Farrow got back to him a little bit, so I think he's just trying to save something for the part when they're really trying to make a run at Thompson here. He'll probably close him in the next maybe 20, 30 laps. Well, maybe not 30 laps, that's the end of the race, but he's probably just biding his time.
Another big group of cars down into pit road. Christopher Matthews, Steve Herring, John Wilco, and Tyler Dulger in unison all coming down. These 4 cars down onto pit road to make presumably their final stop of the race. Back out onto the track they will go. And if you're just joining us now, this is the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series here at Auto Club Speedway. We've gone green the entire race here. We're pretty much here in the last 30 laps trying to see who picked the right fuel strategy, and just strategy in general, to get to the end, and who's going to get there first, because honestly, we have no idea. It could be Riley Thompson in the 58 here. It could be the 25 of Brian Chambliss, who's one more lap to the good than the 50, and that could be all the difference, or the 5 of Colin Farrow. There you see him there. He's actually, as he just cut the camera between the 25 and the 5, there's not a whole lot of a gap between them.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's going to get to the 25 for sure, but with how big of a lead Riley Thompson has, that's really the only question. I think he's definitely going to get the second. It's still a big question mark if he can get the Riley Thompson. Let's see, last lap Riley Thompson ran a 43.482. This lap Farrow 42.984. Only half a second faster. That's not going to cut it.
Indeed that is, but again, the big question is, just did the 58 have enough fuel? I don't think he's getting desperate on saving gas. And I'm curious, I'm just going to ride on him for the end of the straightaway here to see if we hear him get into the clutch or do something into the corner. Watch the RPMs. No.
He's just lifting right now.
So he's running for the most part of normal race, and again, with the lead he has, you would think if anything you would start saving now, so I've gotta imagine he feels that he's good to the end.
Yeah, he's probably got a lot of confidence. Who knows, he might have been able to go that extra lap. We don't really know what he was thinking on the fuel there, but he's definitely in control of this race. Even if the yellow comes out, the tires from everyone else who's pit are already worn, he's gonna be able to take the lead whether the yellow comes out or not. He is really in control right now.
You see Thomas Bresci right in behind, came in a little bit later. He's still a lap down, but the first car a lap down. Gets past the 2 of Calvin Filarski. That actually was for position, so Filarski going to fall back to 15th. Bresci up into 14th, and now trying to chase down the 58 so he can get himself back in the lead lap in case caution does come out.
Yeah, he needs to get back on the lead lap. You really cannot find yourself trapped a lap down. Even a lucky dog, you go to the back. It has just not been the night he needed, without a doubt. About 7 spots down the order to Nick Johnston right now. A lot of points left.
And here's Nick Johnson here. He's coming out of turn 2. And the gap back to Bresci, it's almost half a lap. So Bresci's got a decent ways to go back up the order. He needs to, again, at this point, it's just a matter of damage control. Try to make, close the gap position-wise to the 28 of Johnson, who's currently running in 7th, while Bresci back in 14th.
While in the top 5, Fambro finally getting to some of the people who are trying to stretch it all the way. Just got by Michael Stroll in 8, put Fambro up to P4, and Chad Simpson's probably got to start going here soon. He's got to get by them even faster.
Yeah, during the last 25 laps of the race, we're really starting to get down to it. And actually, I'm trying to do the math. You're looking at the last laps between Chambliss. Ran a 43.6. He's actually just came by the camera. Got a noise out of that engine, so he's getting on the clutch trying to save. While Fambro is running 43.1s. So it's about a half a second gap in time between them. Fambro might not get to Chambliss, depending on how extreme he is on saving gas.
In that case, Riley Thompson can probably go a second. He could probably go way slower and be great on. He could probably run another race on that fuel mileage right now with the lead he's got.
Yeah, and actually, he ran a pretty slow lap as well. They both himself and Chambliss ran a 43.8s in comparison to 43.2s for Fambro that last time by.
He's still 20 seconds. He's got to. I mean, Fambro's got to take about a second a lap starting soon. So he's really got to hope the 58 needs to start saving a lot more, or he's not really gonna get there in time without a doubt, without a yellow.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that he would, throw it all away now. I mean, he was so close to really making it. I'd be surprised if he didn't think he was going to make it. He's going to come in with, 2-3 laps to go. So, you have to imagine that he's confident enough to make it, unless he's just really hoping for a late race caution.
Yeah, you've done what you've done already. You can't just bail out of it now. You're not going to be able to gain all the spots you had. You gotta be content with what you get now, and you just gotta make sure you make the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, like you were saying, you're committed now. You got what you got, and you might as well make the most of it. And that's why I think Brian Chambliss, if Thompson doesn't save enough, he's the next car in line ready to take the win. And we know for the most part he should be able to make it based off of his fuel mileage in the last run. So still waiting to see how this unfolds. The gap now 18 seconds between Fambro and Riley Thompson. Only about 6 seconds between himself and Chambliss.
Yeah, you really never know what's going to happen in these races. We could still see about 4 cautions from here to the end of the race. I hope we don't. You never know, though. It could turn to a real different race real quick.
And Casey Lakatos running in third. Really likes third position. That if he does finish in this spot, he'll be actually. Just lost Brian Chambliss. Potentially, he's disappeared from the scoring. Oh, he's back.
Now, there he is.
Okay, I was gonna say is that Casey Lakatos likes finishing in third. If he finishes third this race, it'll be the third time he's finished in third this season, being Pocono and Richmond the earlier 2 rounds. But I don't think he's got a chance really, because Colin Fambro's right there.
Fambro's probably gonna blow by him, maybe down the front stretch. I don't know if he has enough tire to get to him in 3 and 4, but we'll see here. Yeah, he might even be in 1 and 2. Fambro still really not. He doesn't really have enough grip through the turrets. He just does not have the lap time right now.
Actually, he has started to pick up the pace. He's running in the 40, around 43.2s. You just ran a 43.1, and the last lap prior was a 43 flat. So he's started to pick up the pace as the leaders start to slow down.
He's got 17 seconds to Thompson. 20 to go, about a second a lap, but we got to think his tires are probably going to fall off around there soon. And at some point, Riley Thompson still probably saving a little bit. When Riley Thompson decides it's time to go, it's going to be over. So,
and Thompson
second a lap, we'll see.
Yeah, actually, Thompson just picked up the pace. He ran a 44 flat last time. This time by was a 43.7, 43.8. So he's starting to pick up the pace a little bit as well, but definitely looking like the gap between Chambliss and Fambro is going to fall here as Fambro gets by Lakatos. Surprised to see that Simpson hasn't quite gotten back into the picture just yet.
He kind of just stayed a second back. Not really losing Fambro hard, just kind of lurking a second back. With 20 to go, you wonder when he's going to start trying to push it. He's got to get by Lakatos here, too, to keep no cars in between him and Fambro. As last lap, Fambro ran a 43.5 to when Riley Thompson ran that 43.7. So again, You got to be consistently much faster than him, and that's not going to cut him.
Really is in here as we look at Simpson trying to make a pass on Lakatos as the battle for fourth place on track between these drivers. Remember, Lakatos going to go a little bit defensive down into turn 1. Simpson going to have to take the long way around. Gonna get that spot around the outside.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not happy with Lakatos, but I think he made Fabro go around the outside as well, so it's all even, I suppose. Lakatos was probably trying to hold on for a top 5 maybe, but I think he's only got about 2 seconds to Nick Johnson, who's probably going to be on pace for a top 5 here when it's all said and done.
And speaking of which, I haven't checked in Johnson for quite a while. This will be a decent recovery, all things considered. Looking at a top 5 finish as it stands with the Radies closing in on Lakatos. So about 5/10 of the lap on the 50 car, so we'll most likely get by him, secure a top 5 finish, but Simpson looking to gain quite a few points tonight. Fambro most likely being the biggest winner, but again, he's decently far back, 20 points back going into tonight from Thomas Bresci. Simpson being only 8 points back from Bresci and only 6 points back from Johnston, so Simpson, I think, should be coming out of here your points leader.
Been a great chase for Fambro so far, but when you start out so far back, there's only so much you can do, but all in all, it's been a great charge for the rest of the chase field for him so far.
Yeah, and he admitted, too, last weekend during the interviews at Charlotte that he said his season has gone horribly. I'm pretty sure that's exactly the way to word it, something along those lines. And the fact that he got a win was really encouraging for him. Looking potentially like he could get a second here back-to-back if Thompson doesn't have enough gas. And if he can also get by Brian Chambliss, who's now only 2.2 seconds off the road.
Chambliss last time a 43.8, Fambro a 43.3, half a second. I think he's definitely going to get the Chambliss here, as well as Simpson probably will as well.
At the rate they're running, if Riley Thompson runs any slower, I think Fambro might catch up to him as well. It's within the range of possibility here in these last few laps because he's running about 6 to 7 tenths faster a lap. 15 to go, and the gap being 14 seconds and dropping, it's getting really close. Getting really close to it.
See if there's another battle. It's really close. Travis McQuiston and Mitch Welker really pretty close on track. Mitch Welker got the damage with Bresci earlier in the race. Hasn't had an opportunity to fix it, but he's soldiered on. He's P9 right now, trying to maybe chase down McQuiston here.
Yeah, and he's looking like he's got some slower cars ahead of him. He's got Stroll just up here, and he's on older tires by about 15 or so laps compared to McQuiston and Welker, who are closing on him fast.
Yeah, let's see. I still think top 5, the last person in the top 5 is probably going to be around either Johnson or Chambliss, somewhere around there. That'll probably be the battle for the top 5.
Looking at Johnson starting to close into Casey Lakatos there. You see him up the road. Only 1 second separating these cars now.
Speaking of 1 second, let's see, the 58 ran a 44.3, Fambro a 43.4, 9 tenths faster. It's close to enough, but he's got to keep it up, Fambro does.
Yeah,
he's also got to make sure to keep Simpson behind him. I think Simpson chalked 2 tenths the last time by, but Simpson actually lost another 10th back there.
So Johnson closing in Lakatos. Same thing between Fambro and Chambliss. Johnson gets a little bit close. Johnson gets a little bit close to the wall off of turn 2. Looking up at Fambro, this is his view up ahead with the 25 and Brian Chambliss lurking, trying to hold on to second place at the moment.
You know, there's a couple of guys still on the strategy like Chambliss and Stroll, but you know, I can guarantee that the only person who doesn't want to see a yellow is that 58. Even the guys who are on this one-stop strategy, I'm sure they want that yellow to keep their track position and not fall back to the rest of the field.
Absolutely. Here, as you see, Johnson finally gets past Casey Lakatos for Fambro now on the back bumper of the 25, and not much really that Chambliss can do. He's going to pull off to the side. Effectively, Fambro is going to easily blow on by on the inside down into turn 3. So Fambro up in his second place. Now he's got one car between himself and victory here at Auto Club.
Yeah, he couldn't waste any time with the 25 there, and he didn't waste any time. Now Chad Simpson has to do the same. Close to 10 to go. He's got to make a run at the 5 if he wants any chance of being the first one of the line, depending on the 58's fuel.
Absolutely, and first thing is to get past this 25 here. Cham was just sticking to the inside. We can see him. He's struggling. Ooh, Simpson was looking at the bottom lane there, but it closed up, so he's going to lose a little bit of time in mind. Chambliss going to pull to the outside and work his way on by.
Thought he got into the back of him for a second. That was really close, and like you said, that's going to kill him here. I'm sure he's not happy with Chambliss. Chambliss kind of gave the 5 the bottom, and he didn't do the same with Simpson, so it's probably going to, you know, he's not going to be too happy about that. All that time's gone. He's got 10 laps to make it back up.
Speaking of time, it's a race against that for Colin Fabro and Thompson. For Thompson, I'm riding on board with him. His lap times have dropped off and picked up as well. Still don't think he's resorted to getting onto the clutch for saving fuel, but if he can't save fuel, and again, I'm still really concerned about the fact that he had to go an extra lap more than I would have thought they would have had to, cutting it instead of 50 and 50. Went 4. He's gonna have to go 49 and 51. I really don't think he might have enough here on that gap. We're starting to get dangerously close between these two.
We'll see here. 11 with 10 to go. Fambro is 11 seconds back, about 1.1 seconds a lap. He needs to make up Riley Thompson a 44.1. Fambro a 43.6. That's only half a second, and with that, if Thompson, I mean, the pace has been inconsistent between both of them, so if that pace keeps up, it's definitely over. And yeah, the more time he doesn't make up, it's going to be over here, and it's going to leave Riley Thompson with a lot more room to save the fuel he needs if he's not good yet.
Yeah, not a whole lot of other battles going on the track, so we'll keep up with your eye on the leaders here as the laps wind down. Across the line for Thompson again. It's going to be 8 laps to go at the stripe.
Worth 3 by Thompson. He actually just lapped the 9 of 8 Pistorius. That leaves 12 cars on the lead lap. It's a 43.7 for Fambro. Is that about 7/10? Still not going to cut it. I personally think it's going to come down to a yellow. I think that's what everyone else needs to catch that 50.
That's exactly what Charlotte turned out. We thought it was going to end on a green, and it didn't at the very last second. And it's a lot different circumstances here. I do think, however, if a caution does come out, I think Riley Thompson might be able to hold off the fight, because everyone's going to come down on pit road here. Fool not to at this point. Into the run, everyone's got at least 25, 30 laps on their tires across the field. So, and Thompson, remember, was running in the top 5 before we had the first set of green flag pit stops. So I think he's definitely got the pace to fight up with the 5. It does make it a lot harder for him, though.
To be honest, the only way Riley Thompson, I think, is losing this race is running out of fuel. I think it's all in his hands right now.
Yeah, and only he knows how much fuel he has. No one else does. We don't know. I would love to know how much fuel he has, but data's not exported for obvious reasons, so only he knows if he can make it to the end or not. And from the way he's been running, it's exuded confidence that he has enough.
Yeah, we'll see here. Coming down to the last 6 laps here, it's going to be really interesting to see if he really does slow down the pace with how Fambro just isn't gaining on him. Another 44.2 for the 58. The 5 of Fambro. It's going to be another 43.7. Yes, it is. Another half a second. Still not enough. And meanwhile, I think Chad Simpson's trying to get into the picture a little bit faster than Fambro. If the 46 catches him, it's going to be over if these two try battling each other and the 58 can make it.
Yeah, and actually looking back last time through for Chad Simpson, it was a 43.666. For Colin Fambro, it was a 43.726. So Simpson's starting to pick up the pace here now, so instead of Fambro just having to keep his eyes up ahead, he's going to have to start looking at his mirror as this 46 car closes in.
All different battle for the lucky dog. Tyler Dolger in the 88, just going by Hayden Pistorius in the 9. That would be the lucky dog spot if a yellow did come out. No one else is probably going to get lapped here. Both hit the apron there. Holloway's a couple seconds up the road from the 58 of Riley Thompson.
You can see them actually both get past 58 at this point. Thompson running pretty slow times. He's running about at pace with Dulger.
And Pistorius has been dropping this whole run, really.
It's not been a particularly good run or race for the 9 of Pistorius. Started up in 5th place, has dropped down significantly back to 14th. So Pistorius is probably going to try to do his best to move on from tonight. And this might drop himself out of the picture. He's 14 points back from Bresci, so going to lose out some more points to some of the other guys. So not a particularly good night for the 9 machine. Looking back up at Thompson here, we got under 4 laps to go. And 7.5 seconds the gap between himself and Colin Fambro.
And Chad Simpson, the last 2 laps, actually lost a lot of time to Fambro. I don't think he can get to him. Well, Brian Chambliss is still sticking it out in P4. I don't even think Nick Johnson's going to be able to get to him by the end of this race. So this has definitely worked out for Chambliss.
Yeah, and a really solid job for Chambliss. And taking a look at where he started in 9th, you can still hear, I guess you can't really hear the engine because he's got the clutch in, trying to save fuel to the end. Started in 9th, is currently up into 4th, so a really solid day for the 25 machine. But again, all eyes in these last few ups are going to go to this 58 machine of Riley Thompson. Can he make it around another 2.5 laps back to the finish line to claim a win here?
It might be tight, I don't know. The thing that is worrying, I think you probably said it, is that Chambliss is clutching and coasting and Thompson isn't. I don't know how much of a difference that makes, to be honest.
I mean, but yeah, I think it makes at least to the point where he would need to have saved. I think it would at least make up something. Although he has been very cautious into the corners for most of his runs, I think that's, you know, going to give you the most amount of savings here. The backfire of the car as he gets up into the gas pretty early into the corner now. 2 laps to go. We're not going to pull away here. We're going to keep an eye on this 58 car. Imagine he's going to try to make it all the way here.
See, unless he's sputtering out of 4 this time, you're not pitting. And the white flag's going to be in the air. Really nothing going on around the rest of the track. A couple side-by-side battles, not for position here and there. But the 58, he's still under power, I believe, at a turn number 4. He's got two more miles to do it.
Absolutely. Here they come across the line. White flag going to be in the air. That's going to mean we're going to go green the entire race, but that's not a worry for Riley Thompson at the moment. He's trying to worry if he's got enough gas to make it to the end here. You see racing on behind him, it's Steve Herring and the 88 of Dulgar as they're right in behind our leader. This is not a good position to be in.
And hopefully 50 doesn't run out of fuel because they're going to run right into the back of him, but I don't know. I think if he gets through 3 and 4, I think he can sputter and coast from there.
Yeah, he just needs to really just make it out of turn 4 under his own power, right on board with the 58. I don't hear it sputtering. He's got enough gas out of the corner. Yeah, he's got it now. Out of turn 4, Riley Thompson with some excellent fuel strategy is going to come home here, the winner at Auto Club. Fantastic job done for Thompson. First win of the season. For Colin Fambro, going to be 2nd place for him. Wasn't able to get that 2nd W in a row. Chad Simpson, a solid finish for him in 3rd place. Brian Chambliss, another good strategy call. Got him a 4th place finish for Nick Johnson. Going to have to settle a little bit disappointed. Back in 5th position.
Yep, Travis Quiston 6th. Lakatos, another winner on that strategy. 7th, Mitch Welker 8th. Michael Stroll brings it around. I believe he got 9th. Yes, he did. Gaba got 10th. I think Stroll might have ran out. He was really slow coming to the line there. It's going to be Thomas Bresci 11th, Joel Holloway 12th, and that's it. That's everyone on the lead lap. Steve Herring was the first car, one down in 13th. But what a strategy call. I mean, I had a feeling it was the right call. It just didn't seem like anyone else really trusted it, but he got it done.
Great job for him at the end. With really was unsure if he was going to be able to make it to the end, but definitely was the right call. He's going to be side by side with Hayden Pistorius here. Thompson going to slowly get to the line. I doubt he's got enough fuel for a burnout. I'll be amazed if he does.
I was looking back at it. The 8
wow, he
did
does
sputter on turn. He does have enough fuel. The 8 was sputtering out of 4 to get 9th. Nope, I think that might have been it.
Okay. I think he got a donut in. That's pretty good.
Pretty impressive. Great job.
Yeah, that just shows right there how much extra fuel he actually had. So I was expecting him to be sputtering off the corner. He's gonna, nicely use the banking to park it. Look at that. Don't know how it was planned, but perfect parking job in victory lane. So great job for Riley Thompson. as we go through the rest of your finishing order here really quickly. But wow, what a race there. Green flag to flag. I'll pull it up here on screen to take a look. Again, Riley Thompson, your winner after fantastic fuel strategy. And then looking at the rest of the order, Bressie going to be disappointed back in 11th. Wasn't even a top 10 for him.
Points lost, like we just kept saying, it's going to really hurt him going into the last couple of races here. It was a really good night, even though they didn't get the wins that they think they might have deserved. Fambro, Simpson, great points days, gaining a couple points on Nick Johnson, who still got his top 5 after his mishap. Also, Lakatos, obviously Chambliss, a great run, maybe gaining some points, but still maybe an outside chance. Really good job by everyone tonight. Clean race all the way throughout. A couple taps into the wall, but really good job by everyone keeping it clean.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to cut to break here. We'll grab some drivers for your interview. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Back here live with your third place finisher, Chad Simpson. And Chad, you ran a really solid race. You're running in behind the 5 of Colin Fambro. Unfortunately, you weren't able to get past him, and strategy call wasn't the winning one. Walk us through how your night went.
Yeah, it was just another good points day, which is important when you're in the playoffs. I had run the numbers earlier to figure out if a 1-stop or 2-stop was better, and my number said 2-stop. Clearly, I'm bad at math. So a podium still.
Oh, you got out there?
Yeah, podium is still good.
Yeah, and so speaking of which, you also picked up some really solid points over Johnston at halfway. Still waiting for the points to get updated. From the looks of it, you're going to be almost tied, if not, I think, within about 2 points in either direction from Nick Johnston. So as far as that, you really had a solid finish last week at Charlotte, and then here tonight. How does that make your kind of championship picture look going to the next 2 rounds?
We'll see what happens at Phoenix. It's traditionally not been one of my better tracks, but with this tire model, you never really know. Chicago should be a pretty fun race for the.
You definitely see how the next 2 rounds go, especially for Chad Simpson, and now officially really in that championship fight with Nick Johnson. But for Chad, another solid points finish for you tonight. See you next week at Phoenix.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Moving on back to our second place finisher, Colin Fambro. And Colin, again, you ran a really solid race. If anything, you were probably the fastest car out there, or the fastest car out there. But the strategy wasn't the right call. Walk us through how your race went from your perspective.
Yeah, man, we unloaded really well, and man, it was fun. It just didn't have the right strategy. Riley really got us. He had just enough pace, just enough fuel to make it on one. I just thought with the tire fall off, there was no way it was going to work out. But the tires evened out later in the run enough to where that gap that you could close up, it just wasn't there. So it kind of stalled out, and he was able to win it.
Yeah, and again, we were talking to you last week at Charlotte when you won the race, and you said your season didn't really go that well up until the playoffs started, and you went out like a cannon, winning last week and finishing second here. So really solid performance so far in the playoffs, and you gained another massive amount of points. You're now 12 points back from our points leaders, which is actually a tie in the points between Simpson and Johnston. So what's your goal for the next the final 2 rounds?
Just keep racing hard, man. I mean, I got 2 good tracks left, and if I can get out of there with a good finish at Phoenix, I really like the final track. So, yeah, it's just kind of keep your head down and keep going, and hopefully this good fortune continues to run. The cars have been fast, so we'll see.
The best of luck to you, Colin, over the next or the final 2 rounds of the season. Moving on to, actually, we got Nick Johnston here. We'll go to him before our race winner. And Nick, it wasn't the best of runs for you last week at Charlotte. Big mistake coming down into pit road. And then now here tonight, another mistake on pit road for you. That effectively cost you a solid, better finish, potentially in the top 3. Walk us through what happened.
I'd rather do that than speed on pit road. I don't know, if I can get pit road right during this playoffs, maybe we have a chance at winning it. But if I keep stepping on it like I have been, it's going to be a rough go at it. But
yeah.
I was just trying to get all I could on the pit road. I had a really good entry, and I was right there with Chad and Colin, and just trying to come in the box hot ahead of those 2 and just slid it, stalled the car. I've worked on Xfinity cars for 5 years. I never had one fire up that slowly. So it was a mess.
Yeah, and unfortunately, again, like you were saying, the first 2 rounds of this playoffs and not entirely gone your way. You're still doing a solid job. In fact, you're tied with Chad Simpson for the points lead. Obviously, I don't think the way you would have liked it to go, especially having 5 wins this season so far. So, how is the next 2 rounds looking for you, if anything, if it's changed your strategy going into it?
I think I'm going to look more into saving fuel and stopping as little as possible. I honestly didn't think they'd be able to go that far on fuel in pre-race testing there before the race. I did a run and I was going to go 48 laps on it, and I was like, I don't know if saving 2 laps of fuel is going to be worth it. And apparently it was saving enough fuel to go just the 1 stopper. So it is what it is. I mean, a caution could have fell at any time. Anything could have happened. So I was just stuck with my strategy and went for it and ended up where we ended up. Not a bad day.
Andy, it was, all things considered, really solid finish again for you, Nick. Another top 5, and looking forward to seeing how you perform over the next 2 weeks.
Hopefully it goes better than tonight. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Too. And now, finally getting to our race winner, Riley Thompson. Riley, you managed to pull it off. Most of the drivers, especially the front runners, decided not to go with the one-stop strategy. I was saying at the top of the show it was going to be close, and you proved that it was going to be close. But even at the end, you still had enough to do a burnout. Walk us through how your night went.
It started out with a rocky start. I typically fidget with my power shifters on restarts and all of that. Actually put it into second, so that dropped me back to about 9th. And I think making that a little bit more lifting, trying to pass people, I think that kind of set me back to realize, oh hey, if I save 2 laps worth, I can make this on a 2-stop, depending on how bad the tires fall off. And I noticed they would fall off a decent amount, but once they did fall off, they kind of just hang around a certain time for about 15 more laps, and then they drop again, and then same kind of situation.
So wait, so you weren't you didn't come into the race planning on doing one stop?
On the pace lap, I kind of realized, oh hey, I can still save a little bit. So I was already I had it on the back of my head, but I really started thinking about it about 15 laps in.
I see. Okay, interesting. Interesting note there. I would have thought for a lot of the guys doing it, they would have figured that out beforehand. But I mean, again, that just kind of shows you how to be adaptive. And speaking of which, that essentially got you your first one of the season. Anything that you fancy trying to get a win before the season wraps up here at Phoenix or Chicagoland?
Hopefully. I mean, it took me long enough to finally get one in here. Fingers crossed, maybe like Andy, where get the first one, and I can get a couple more after that.
With Riley Thompson, our race winner here out of the club, Riley, nice solid finish for you. So you do in the next two rounds.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and with that, I think that's going to effectively wrap up our coverage here of the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series here at Auto Club Speedway. We'll quickly go over your race results again with Riley Thompson on top of the charts, Colin Fambro second, Chad Simpson in third. Jam was again another driver that pulled off the one-stop strategy, finishing in fourth, Nick Johnson in fifth. Looking down the rest of the order, any other finishes that kind of pique your interest there, Connor?
A bit of an impressive result for Michael Stroll. He was, like I think I said, he was sputtering out of turn 4. He was able to coast home for P9. Mitch Welker, Case Lacadas, all of them up there. Really great runs. Obviously, Bresci just struggled a little bit. But, again, another really big night in the points. They're already sort of updated. Right now it shows Simpson and Nick Johnston tied for the lead. And I'm sure with other points factored in, I think Chad Simpson's going to have the points lead all of a sudden. So a big night for him. And it's just all comes down to mistakes at the end of the day. 2 weeks in a row, Nick Johnston's done it again, and hopefully next week he can get it right on pit road. That's what it's going to come down to at this rate.
Yeah, it really is, especially because a lot of the rest of the field, we've been seeing that Johnson's been dominating at the top of the board, but when he's been making mistakes, a lot of his competition's been stepping up to the plate and delivering. So we'll have to see how the next round of this championship plays out when we head to Phoenix for the next round of the Mission 22 Premier Series, which will be the penultimate round of the season. But for now, we're going to call it a night here at Sim TV. My name is Srini Dakuna. I'm Connor, and I'm with Connor Horn. We're going to be calling it a night.